on UBN Radio.
Welcome back to On Air with Tony Sweet. I'm Eddie Connor.
I'm Maribel Serrano.
Alvin Ali.
And I'm me.
And I'm me. That was good. That's good. Welcome back to the show. We're going to jump right into our interview with Nancy Turner, a.k.a. And we want to ask you right up front, you're the author of One Mother of a Porn Star. And all of us, when you weren't in the room, Nancy, we were trying to figure out how you came up with that title.
Yeah.
Oh, that's an interesting story.
Wait a minute. Nancy! Hello. There we go. Now you can begin.
Okay. I actually originally was going to call it I'm a Mother of a Porn Star, and I was on the airplane with my son, and he was watching me proofread, and he says, Mom, I got a better title. And he says, One Mother of a Porn Star. And I said, perfect.
That is perfect. And you just, whenever something like that clicks, you can feel it, right?
I knew it was right.
Awesome. So I haven't read it. I got my little Kindle for Christmas. That's my Christmas present to me.
Well, happy
And
Christmas.
then I had to hire somebody to upload it and figure
I
it
thought
out.
you said hire somebody to read it.
Yeah, well, okay, I just keep tapping the glass going, I don't understand. And she uploaded your book for me, so I have not read it yet. And what I've seen so far in the description and the trailers for it on YouTube is it comes off at first like a real heavy, lots of stuff you've overcome. But there sounds like there's a lot of miracles. It sounds like there's some light in it. There's some angels. There's some synchronicities. So how hard was it to go back and rehash these things from the past?
Well, these were Debbie Austin's experiences as she told them to me. And so it was hard for her. I asked her why she didn't write the book. And
Perfect.
she said she couldn't. It was too personal, and it makes her cry a lot. It's a difficult life she had. And so I told her I would be very interested in writing her story.
Love it.
And she said, okay. And she says, I'm going to tell you everything, and it's going to be exactly as I remembered it. And I don't want anything changed. I want it to be exactly as it happened. And that's the way I've kept it.
Wow. Now, you can tell I didn't read it because I didn't know nothing about Debbie Austin. So what is it that you hope the book will do for readers? Because some people, when they first hear One Mother of a Porn Star, they automatically probably are a little critical, a little judgmental, a little curious. So what is it
amazing how people are with stuff like that.
It is. What do you hope readers get from it?
The book itself, for me, as I went through it and heard her story and started putting it together, it went from different abuse to abuse to abuse. It was like parental abuse. It was like sexual abuse. There's suicide in it. There's a betrayal by a husband. And this woman was almost murdered 12 times. I don't know too many people that were almost murdered 12 times and lives to tell about it.
Is that all by one incident, one person, I mean?
No, 8 of the attempts were by her first husband. And then the others were, she was mugged once at gunpoint and got away. And then she had another husband that tried to kill her twice, and then a former high school sweetheart tried to kill her twice.
It's like people who are like hit by lightning more than once. Like, what's the chance of that happening to one person? That
12 times.
Exactly.
How do you deal with that?
How do you move forward?
How
from
did you
that?
survive having a gun in your car on your nose and you got away?
How did she? What's her philosophy on? I'm a big law of attraction person, but I'm not that person that says, "Well, you created the gun in your face." I'm not that person. How did she rectify that? How did she get to the other side of all of that?
The other side, as in
the other side of all of that heaviness and hardship and almost being murdered.
Well, she was at home for 3 months and couldn't go out the front door. She was scared to death.
Became
The
agoraphobic.
trauma. She couldn't go to work. Couldn't answer. Nobody could ring her doorbell. She went into hysterics, and it took her a long time to even go back to work. And then she quit her job because they wouldn't get her on the parking lot where it might be safer. She was parking a long way away, and had to walk that day to her car. That's why she got mugged.
That must be really. I mean, to have to even go to a psychologist or a therapist, that to sometimes recall those memories is very difficult and sometimes very healing. Did Debbie, after kind of unloading this heaviness onto you, did you ever feel like that heavy load that was passed to you, or I mean, because that's a lot to
It's
to
a
take.
difficult book to read, and there's so much heavy stuff in it because she just went from one disaster to another
kinda
to
like,
another.
really?
And so I broke it up by putting her on an airplane and talking with a stewardess to give some intermission to the reader because you need a moment to take a breath.
Yeah.
It's just so much, and it's like one person really lived through this. One person endured this and is still here sane to talk to you. She ended up in psychotherapy for 2 years.
But there's a lot of resilience with that, obviously.
She
to be able
is
to
a very tenacious survivor. She has a strong belief in God, and she believes that she is here by the grace of God.
Is there a particular, you say there's a lot of heaviness and stuff, is there one particular thing that stands out, or?
Well, there's quite a few, but I'm going to say that the one for me that's the most poignant because, and you'll see the cover sort of leans that way, is when her husband had come home unusually drunk one night, early one morning, and she'd found out he was out with his boss's girlfriend. And she confronted him. He went to the bed, and so she goes to the couch, and she tosses and turns, and this voice comes to her left ear whispering for 1 hour, saying the very same thing. It's a male voice. There's nobody in the room. It says, "Go, look in the truck," over and over.
Go look in the truck.
Go look in the truck.
Okay.
He hadn't driven the truck that day. He had driven her car. So finally she went. It was frozen outside. There was snow and sleet, and about 2 o'clock she got a flashlight, goes out there, searches this Blazer Chalet, and that's a pop-up truck with drawers and beds and everything, and she didn't know what she was looking for. And so finally she finds a white satchel in the final drawer underneath the bed, and she didn't know what that was. She opens it up and looks inside, and there's a humongous photo album, and there's a cigar box with letters, and then there's rolled up posters. So she goes and sits in the front of that truck, and when she goes through all of that, her life ends.
What happens?
Am I supposed to tell?
Yeah, just a little bit.
I know. I read
just
it earlier, and I'm like,
No,
what is that?
just
read.
a touch.
Okay.
Just a tiny
Just
teaser.
yeah, give us the teaser.
It's she discovers that her husband of 11 years has sexually abused one of her children.
No. And so the voice
That would
comes to
kill more
her
than anything
over and over
else.
until she took action.
For 1 hour, this went on. She had a mental argument with this voice. What am I looking for? He didn't drive the truck. It's cold outside. Who are you?
Then what happens? Well, give us a little. I'm sorry. So let me stick with the script because now I'm so okay.
Can you tell us a little bit about Debbie's childhood? Because we're talking about how like her marriage and stuff. But what was her childhood like? What was her relationship like with her parents?
Ooh, good
She had a
question.
very difficult childhood, which was another reason that she's amazing. At age 3, her father began sexually abusing her, and no one came to her rescue. And her mother and her brother knew it. And she didn't know it until late in life when she was working with a psychotherapist after this horrible marriage thing. And she was talking about her nightmares, having these horrible nightmares as a child over and over. This gorilla was chasing her. This elephant was chasing her down the street trying to kill her. And she finally said, "I think you've been sexually abused." I said, "No, I haven't."
Wow.
She said, "No, she has." She said, "No, I haven't."
Right.
And I said, and the psychotherapist told her, you may need to go talk to your mother. And so she told me she did. She confronted her alone in the car one day, and she said, "I'm going to ask you this because I'm supposed to." And she said, "Was I ever sexually abused as a child?" And her mother said, "Yes, but don't ever ask me again because I'll never tell you again."
No.
How old was Debbie when she confronted her mother about this?
She was married and had her 2 children, and was married to this husband who she didn't know was sexually abusing her child.
How long, how many months or years did you sit with her to write this? And then when you walked away from it, how did you wash some of that off of you?
It's hard.
I was about to say, how did it affect you?
It affected me. It's a hard story to read because it's, number one, true, and number one, it's so many different traumas and abuse and violence. There's death threats. She almost committed suicide. But by the grace of God, something else happened that saved her life. She had the gun. She was about to kill herself. And it's hard when you read that. And she talked about what it looked like on the other side, and what she said, I was in this zone. It was flat. It was empty. There was nobody there. There was no sounds, no light, no nothing. And I was on the other side. I was not here. She said, I was over there. And
so Debbie was sexually abused at 3 years old, you said, correct?
yes, and her father beat her with a belt by dangling her in the air.
And she didn't realize this until later when she confronted her mom.
No one ever told her. She had no clue.
After she realized that did a lot of things in her life click? Like, no wonder I feel like this. No wonder it's affected my life in this way. No wonder I'm this kind of person.
She said her psychotherapist, which was a wonderful person. I admire that person from reading about her and listening to her story. But, she had no chance because, number one, she was 2, and then she was 3 and 4. And her brother
became normal for her.
She didn't know. She was a child.
That's what I mean.
She was in a baby bed when it started.
Right.
And her brother was in the other room, and he was afraid of her father, and she was afraid of her father. And the mother apparently was afraid of the father, so nobody went to her rescue. This little young child was being sexually abused with no memories, just nightmares.
Until about 5, 6, certain things that happen don't actually register as those things. They come in as other things.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
So unless it was happening later on, she wouldn't have any recollection
that's
of
what-
it, just feelings.
Just those nightmares.
Yeah,
And
nightmares.
even had those into adulthood.
Yeah.
Even during the marriage to this this husband who abused her child.
So really, I mean, just me growing up in an alcoholic family, I know that it becomes just a pattern, and it just seems natural and normal. Even though we don't like being in bad relationships, it seems natural and normal. And I can see why she would follow the pattern of maybe of what her stepfathers would do. And so that's why I think a lot of times we get involved in relationships that feel comfortable, even though it's abusive.
And let me just tack on, it does not matter how good of a person you are. It does not matter how great of a person Debbie is. That pattern follows us until we acknowledge it and change it. Right. So that's why bad things happen to good people. Right. And it's devastating. Now, I want to ask you about this. One of her children comes out as gay in the book.
Yes.
And so tell us a little bit about that moment and the impact on the immediate family when this child comes out as gay in the midst of all of this.
This was after she had discovered these horrible pictures, and this was gone through this dramatic divorce where family was threatened with murder, and their home was going to be burned down. And that was the threat he made.
What state was this? A state of shock.
A state of shock.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, you were asking me
about
the impact.
Yeah, of the child coming out.
Okay. Number one, she was stunned because this child dated the opposite sex frequently, had more admirers than one would hope. Climbing in and out of windows.
Oh.
And I'm like, really?
At what age?
Teens.
Oh.
Junior high school. And there was Debbie had no clue. No one ever suspected that he or she was gay.
Oh.
And she heard this. She was a dancer. She came home one night and heard pitter, patter, pitter on the roof. Pitter, patter, pitter on the roof. She gets up at 2 o'clock and goes to the patio door to see what's going on up on her roof. And here comes a nude figure, one of her children, flying into the swimming pool.
Oh.
With a couple of friends out there who happen to be of the same sex.
Naked.
Naked.
Yes.
So whenever Debbie hears the pitter patter on the roof in the middle of the night, does she freak the frick out?
Yeah. How many times do you hear feet running?
I know.
You're like,
I'm just like,
just
I would've
Christmas.
Gone. I would have got my shotgun.
Right. Well, Midwest South, that's what you grab
So
first.
what happened whenever the child comes out?
Well, the child was told to get in the house and to send the friends home, and I was told that she turned and called the parent. She was divorced. This was the alcoholic husband.
Oh, okay.
She had divorced, and she'd been raised by an alcoholic stepdad, and and her son or daughter, as it was they all had their issues with alcohol, and this child came in, and the mother had called the dad, and he came over, and the confrontation was, why am I here at this time of the night? And Debbie told him, because I want your child to tell you the truth about what I just saw and what's going on.
Oh.
And that's when that child says, here I am, and this is who I am.
Well,
And Dad
good
went
for her.
nuts. Said, no child of mine is going to
Of
be
course.
gay.
Oh my God.
To his dying day, he couldn't accept it.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. And
That's kind of sad in
that's
itself.
sad. Yeah.
And you know,
that's
there's
sad.
so many parents that once you hear that word gay, there's so many parents that walk away or knock the kid out of the house.
Yeah.
Don't go away. You know,
Or
go
kill
away.
them.
Well, I haven't heard that.
Oh, I've
Really?
heard of
From
Yeah.
my
Parent?
area of the world?
Really?
He's from the he's from
Absolutely.
the Middle
Oh.
East, so
Oh, okay.
There are certain countries in the Middle East where they, even though in the laws it's illegal,
Uh-huh.
they will not step to take a parent who kills a gay child to jail because they will put it under an honor killing.
Oh, I see.
It's
Wow.
kind of disgusting.
Yeah.
It is.
yeah,
Very
it's
disgusting. But there's so many parents in the United States that once they hear that, the child is excommunicated from family immediately,
Yeah.
thrown out of the house with nothing.
Yep.
And it's hard.
I know you said a lot about the faith. I know from in the Midwest South, faith is huge. In the Christian community and Christian genre of religion, and a lot of people that go through this over and over and over don't sometimes give up. Just say, why me? Why are you doing this to me? And turn away from faith. Why do you think Debbie stayed so strong in her faith when she really had every right to not?
At this point in life, true. As I talked to her at length about that very subject, I said, how did you get through all of this? What kept you going? And she said, I was raised in this very strict church, 5th generation. Read the Bible 3 times all the way. And the book of Job, the story of Job, had always reached out to my heart and told me as I grew up, I was going to have a life something like that.
Wow.
And she did. But she still to this day has a huge belief that God is with her. And when you have an angel
Is it the
whispering,
same belief as what she grew up with, though? Is it, or is it
no,
more
like
it's
yeah.
more spiritual.
Yeah,
It's
okay,
more.
that's-
It's a one-on-one. It's sort of like what
Which
happens
is what-
in AA.
Yeah, which is
Right.
what it should be.
That's-
It should-
yes.
Any religion should be between
Right.
you and
and
the higher being yourself.
exactly. And that's how she survived, and she's very strong with that. And yes, there was rifts in the family when all of this came out, and the family splintered over this. The family is splintered over other issues. A lot of things. It's a difficult family, harder than I think most.
Well, I think in a lot of the gay community, there's one saying that we can't choose our birth family, but
Right.
it's the family that we end up growing as the
Right.
community, as the gay community comes together and accepts each other. That's where a lot of their true family come into play.
You hope.
Right.
Or you hope.
Yeah.
Yeah, your
Because
hope.
stated.
within that, then there are ones that don't like these, and then these
Well,
ones that want
it's
to put
true.
those under the bus, and those. It's just
It's the most out of
never-ending
every
cycle.
out of every minority. It's a minority within a minority within a minority within a minority within a
Right.
minority, and
Yeah.
we battle amongst ourselves more than anybody else could fight us. It's a shame.
It is a shame.
Yeah.
But did Debbie end up finding that family outside of her, bloodline? Did
Good
she?
question.
What family?
Well, did she build a family of not just
Friends.
her children, but friends and different loved ones without them being blood?
She's in a location where she can't tell people about her son being gay or her
So
daughter
she's
being
still in the
gay.
South.
Or if she told anybody one of my children is gay, she wouldn't have any friends.
See, I understand that.
I do too.
It's
I
the way it
understand.
is.
It's where-
My-
Same with
And-
my.
My
And
relatives
It's
too.
sad.
My
I
family.
mean, how do you where is it written that a parent is supposed to discard a child
Yeah.
if they're gay?
Yeah.
You don't do that.
No, because
no.
at the end of the day, it's just about love. It's who you
And-
are predisposed to love. So
And that's
if it's
what-
love. What's the
Right.
problem here?
God is.
I
God
think,
is love.
Well, I think the problem is, and sorry, I don't want to take it off track, obviously, because
Mhm.
is the fact that the word gay comes with the sexual act. When a son or daughter comes home with the opposite sex, the parents always think, oh, I hope that person, what does he do? Is he or is she or whatever, are they good for my child? Are they, are they a good person?
Yeah.
But as soon as you come with the same sex, they don't think that. The first thing that goes on is what happens in the bedroom.
Yeah.
And I think that becomes ultimately the problem.
I don't even think they ask what's happening in
No,
the
no,
bedroom.
they don't.
I think they
that's
picture.
what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, they're humping
immediately
goats.
Humping
so
goats.
that's why it becomes such a thing. Because I have a lot of people who go to me, no, I haven't come out because it's a private thing. And I try to explain to them, actually, it's not a private thing. What's private thing is what you do in your bedroom, not who you are.
As a human
You
being.
don't ask a straight person what they do in the bedroom, but they have no problem saying, oh, this is my girlfriend, or this is my wife, or this is my husband.
Right.
They equate the two together. It needs to be separated, and then maybe we can go forward.
Well, as Debbie, as a mother of a gay child, but then becoming a porn star.
Yes,
That's
that's book 2.
But that's
that's the icing on top.
But what's funny, you're like,
one of those kids is going to become.
Well, and this is what's funny is, Eddie, when you said you came out gay, it was more difficult to come out as a psychic in the South, which is funny now that he's like, okay, finally I can tell people my son or daughter is gay. Plus, does porn. So how did Debbie in itself handle that? How finally go, okay, I can accept having a gay child, but then the porn came into play.
It was a difficult step for her, a lot because of her
She's
background.
like, what are you doing to
like,
me?
Really, but
Yeah.
it was a difficult moment. She didn't really accept it. Wasn't real sure what to think of it. I had never considered it, had already dealt with the gay issue and thought, okay. And then we hear this comes along and she's like, I don't know. I don't know what to do about this, and it was far out there for her. She had to it took time to wrap her head around it.
But I think as a mother and father, mostly mothers are always majority of the time will come around first. Not always, but sometimes. Yeah. But I think being from I'm from Kansas, so I know that families have the hidden secrets, and I think that's and I think everybody in this room's family has hidden secrets. Right. When did she feel like it was appropriate to actually tell some of those hidden secrets? Was it after therapy? Was it after a certain age? Was it after feeling more confident about herself? When did she feel like being able to reveal some of those secrets?
Well, long before a lot of these secrets came to pass. Right after she had found that satchel in her life, had gone into a
tailspin,
total tailspin. She, in desperation, went to a psychic.
Ooh.
And she had a reading because she was so torn up, didn't know what was going to happen with her life. And this psychic told her in this reading, you must write a book. And she said, I don't write. She said, yes, you will write a book about this. And she said, no, I'm not going to. And that's how that came to pass. That eventually she said, well, I can't write the book, but she was willing to talk to me.
Oh. That's a lot of courage. I have to say I have to give her the kudos for having the courage to not just putting in a diary, but putting it on paper for other people to read. I mean,
I interviewed her at length.
I'm sure you had to. That wasn't like a 10-minute interview.
It's like paper up to here.
Oh, I'm sure.
It's a lot. And we did it in interims, where you take a break and let it rest. And it was hard for her to talk about it. And I took copious notes, and she showed me. People might question, some of this can't be true. She's got documents, she's got handwritten notes, she's got calendars with names and events of family. When things went to the police, it was not only a video, it was pictures, it was letters, it was all kinds of proof. He was indicted for incest and was going to go to prison. And that's why he...
Incest and pedophilia.
Yeah, he was going to... that's why he threatened to kill all of them if they didn't drop the charges.
Can you talk to us a little bit about the cover of the book? We have it here on the screen.
Sure.
What's the inspiration behind that?
Actually, I was thinking about that. I had hired someone I had researched, as I like to do on the internet, and had found this wonderful, wonderful cover artist. And I said, I want to hire you for this book. It's a special book to me, and I think this is a strong story that really needs to be there to help people. There's much abuse in this book. It's going to help people who have been abused in one form or another. And he sent me about 6 or 7 different choices, and I saw that one, and what he had asked me, though, before he did that, give me a little written info about what's in the book, just snippets. So I gave him snippets. He came up with that, and I looked at that, and I said, I like that.
I love the combination of the church and then the porn
with
star right above
with
it.
the angels.
Yeah,
I
it's
looked
beautiful.
at the angel
Yeah.
wings, and then the water. It could almost be tears.
Mm-hmm.
And then and think about this 2-year-old child who, 2 and 3, who was, go back to that, sexually abused, who survived because of a church foundation in her life.
And how did Debbie respond to the cover?
She liked it, but she had to think about it.
Yeah, I bet.
Because it's pretty close to home.
Oh, yeah.
Knew that people who were, in her church or in other churches are going to say, well,
I was going to ask what the reaction
how
was
is that
from
going to be?
Well, also because there is also the stigma from the last 10 years of things coming out from the church with the pedophilia. So there is that kind of connotation that people might gravitate to, that might get a bit uncomfortable for someone who's religious.
Exactly. But this is a true story. And so, people have to accept the fact that these things happen to some people.
Yeah.
And if it's a true story, which it is, I've got plenty of documentation from her to believe it.
Do you think if somebody came, let's say somebody's listening today and here in Hollywood that wanted to make that into a movie, would she step out into the light for this, or would she want to do this at all, or would you want to do this at all if you wanted to put it on the TV or film?
I don't know if she would. I'd have to talk to her.
Right.
And even, as you know, I'm AKA.
Right.
To protect her family.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's the reason I did it. That was the stipulation from her.
And that's for people that was wondering, this is why, so, more protection of Debbie.
Right. It's more for her than for me. It's to protect her family, because there's still stuff going on in her family as we speak. This family is not okay. His family is still splintered, and there's family letters that go out on email with all these non-truths about Debbie, and it's heartbreaking.
I would think the letters and the documentation, the police reports, the photos from the past would keep her sane.
Well, at least she knows that she has that, but then
She has proof.
What family is telling other family who don't know, and then children, it's the old cover-up, trickle-down effect. I'm going to twist the story to make it where I look like I'm
But this is where your family doesn't become your family. And I think it leads to what you were saying earlier, which is then you create the people around you who do become your family, who are your
That's
wall.
why I'm wondering, why would she want to stay in the same area if she knows she can't really still be Debbie, who Debbie really is? Because there's a lot of people, not necessarily, because a lot of people that are gay come to the California, go to New York, go to Chicago, go to the bigger cities where they can be accepted
if they can get out.
Mm-hmm. Is that one of the reasons why Debbie is still in really kind of the place where she feels not really can be Debbie and be able to express herself fully?
I have another thing as well after you. Sorry.
About that her child is one of her children.
Gay, or just being able to
porn star.
I think what he's asking, and I have a theory as well, is why stay there if all this is happening? Why not move somewhere where she could just readily be accepted by people who are a little bit more, let's say, cosmopolitan and more traveled, to realize that,
or just
it's not a big deal.
Good energy.
Yeah.
Unless she
why
has
stay
that
in that
there.
same
I
community?
never did really ask her that.
But I know you're going to have the same theory as me, and I'm just going to say my little piece, and
Go
then
ahead.
yours is going to be in depth and good and delicious.
No, not really.
No, honestly,
Usually it's the other way around.
No. How many of us have relatives right now that we love that will never, ever
Me.
step outside of what they're living, even though it's tumultuous and it's terrible and they're uncomfortable and they're not doing a single thing to change it? And so it's safe to stay, but it's unsafe to stay. It's what they know, and they just keep doing it out of habit. What were you going to
I
say?
was going to say, I had, my mom is from Lebanon. When the wars were happening, I mean, there's little skirmishes now, and there's a lot of infighting at the moment, and bombs, and for some strange reason, don't ask me, it's just ridiculous. People can't live with each other. But before, we used to get up, when my grandparents were still alive, we used to get them out and bring, when it was like really bad, either between Israel and Lebanon or between different factions in Lebanon, we used to get them out through Cyprus and then bring them to London. Within about 2 weeks of them being here, they needed to go back.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Because
yeah,
it's like, this is my home. Why would I, and that could be a reason, is this is my home. Why would I have to leave my home just because people around me don't agree with me?
And
And go ahead.
yes, and well, it takes 5 generations to change the way you believe and think inside of a family. So when you change it, when you move away, when you break the pattern, when you evolve into something better than what you were raised with, you heal 5 generations past, and you set it up to heal 5 generations in the future.
Yeah.
But it takes only 10% of the mass population are brave enough to do it. The other 90% stay where they are. And I wanted to ask you, do you think, and I mean this with love, I really mean this with love, do you think Debbie is well adjusted now?
I think if she wasn't, she wouldn't be here.
I think so too.
Yeah.
That's my feeling.
Yeah.
And so if they want to buy the book, they can go to smashwords.com, search for One Mother of a Porn Star by Nancy Turner, a.k.a., and turn on your adult filter, ladies and gentlemen, to download her book. Download her book. And you can download it for free with the coupon code C as in what? What's it? Cat. Thank you.
I know. Sorry, because I
know
went
where you
to
were
a
going.
word that I was like, I can't. I'm not
said-
going
I
to
was
say it in
like-
front of.
Okay, so I know, yeah, in front of a lady. Coupon code C as in cat, D as in dog, 88K as in Kathy, and that's at smashwords.com. You can also get it at Amazon.com. 99 cents? That's awesome. We love her.
I know.
Well, it's free on Smashwords with a coupon.
Wow.
And then if they want to follow
I'm doing it on.
Nancy Turner, AKA, go to facebook.com/Nancy Turner, AKA.
Right.
And I have you on Twitter at Nancy Turner _AKA.
Is it also on iTunes?
It's
in the
on
book?
it's on YouTube.
YouTube.
I have it on YouTube. There's a video, 3-minute video on YouTube.
Okay. Wow. No, I meant it's a book available to download on iTunes, like with the book
Like
books.
an
there
Oh,
audio
that's a
book?
good
Oh.
question.
for
Not yet.
people. So
yet.
Kindle.
It is Kindle because it's EPUB.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, Nancy,
So-
thank you so much
I
for being
know.
Thank
here.
you.
We
I'm
really
brave.
appreciate it. That's
Thank you.
Thank you.
brave, and sometimes people need words, or people need someone like you to give the words to write, because there's a lot of people that have no way to express.
But have an incredible
Right.
story.
Yeah, and have a
Yeah.
story that just have no
Her
outlet.
story was so dramatic and so moving for me, and I'm glad that she was willing to let me do
So
that.
thank you,
You're
Debbie.
an angel.
We'll give
Thank
we'll give Debbie a applause and Nancy applause. Thank you so much, and come back again,
Oh, I'd
and
love to.
especially when the book 2 comes out. 'Cause
I know.
you got me
Yes.
interested. I
Yeah.
think this is going to be like a movie or something one of these days.
It could be.
Could
That
be.
movie, this would be a great series.
All right.
I know.
I think it
On,
would.
on cable,
Oh,
not on a
okay.
network TV.
Yeah,
because they would
cable.
just
Yeah.
make it too
You-
adult cable.
you'd
That
be
would
2G.
incredible.
Yeah, really.
All right. Well, everybody, go help this lady out, and both ladies, and get this book. And make sure you tune in here in about 10 minutes, because we're going to have Alex